What's up everyone, I'm Steve and I show you how to take the BS out of personal finance. In this video, I'm going to tell you how much you should spend on a car. You ready? Let's go. The answer to this question is really going to depend on who you ask because there's so many different opinions about how much you should spend on a car. For example, many experts say that you should never spend more than 36% of your income on loan payments in general, and that would include your car. So for example, if you spend more than 36% of your income to pay back loans, then you're putting yourself at risk, whether it's a car or anything else. Other people believe that you should never spend more than about 15% of your monthly take-home pay on your car payments to reduce risk. So that would mean if your monthly take-home pay is, let's say, $4,000, then you should never buy a car that costs you more than $600 a month to pay it off. And other people believe that you should never pay more than half of your salary to buy a car. There's all kinds of opinions, so which one's gonna work for you and what should you spend on your next car? Well, I'd like to break these down into 3 different levels of risk, and then you can decide for yourself what level of risk you are willing to take. So let's start with the less risky option. Don't spend more than about 10 to 15% of your annual income on a vehicle. So for these 3 scenarios, we're going to assume you make $50,000 a year. It's a good medium kind of income, makes the math easy. So if you make $50,000 a year and you are a less risky person, that would mean that you probably shouldn't spend more than $5,000 to $7,500 on your car. So that seems really low, and I guess it is, but there are a lot of used cars out there that are still very reliable in that price range. You're not going to have as many options necessarily, but your risk is also going to be a lot lower because you're going to minimize your car payment, or you might just be able to pay off that car entirely without taking out any loans. So that is the less risky option. And the middle of the road option would be 20 to 25% of your income. So again, if you make $50,000 a year, you would look for a car in the $10,000 to $12,500 range, 20 to 25% of your annual income. So that brings you up a little bit. You're spending a little bit more money, but then you could get potentially a nicer car or a newer car than you would if you were less risky. And there are still plenty of nice, high-quality used car options in that price range. And if you're more risky, you probably shouldn't spend more than about 35% of your income on a car. So using $50,000, you would be looking for a car in the $17,500 price range if you wanted to get up to 35%. And the important thing to remember is, for the most part, cars are depreciating assets. Especially if you buy a new car, new cars tend to depreciate around 8 to 10% the second you drive them off the line. So cars are not going to make you money. They're not going to help you build wealth. And as a result, we don't want to spend too much of our income on something that is decreasing in value. Because if we do, that is going to increase our risk because that car payment is always there on a car that's losing value. And in these 3 scenarios, keep in mind that I am specifically talking about car payments, and that's it. If you have other debts like your mortgage, or if you have credit card debt or student loans, that money also needs to be taken into consideration as well. So if you are already fairly leveraged with debt with other things like mortgage or student loans, then you probably shouldn't take the more risky option because you're really saddling yourself with a lot of payments that way. And if you do, God forbid, lose a job or something happens and you need access to that money, you may not have it if you have a more expensive car. So I would encourage you to take a look at all of your debts, figure out all the money that you're paying, and really get a good feel for your cash flow before you decide which one of these risk options is going to be best for you. Start right in the middle in that 20 to 25% range, and then if you have more debt than you're comfortable with, then probably take the less risky option. But if you're pretty good with money, you don't have a lot of debt, or you've already paid off debt and you have some money to play with, then consider a more risky option if that feels right to you. But ultimately, I cannot tell you what car to buy. I cannot tell you how much money to spend, because it's always going to depend on your scenario, what you are comfortable with, and what's going on in your life. But to make a smart decision for you, take these 3 risk options, do a little bit of the math, and decide what you're comfortable with. And that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something about cars and how much you should spend. If you like this video, smash that like button, share it with somebody who you think might get some value out of it. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. That's it. We will see you next time. Peace.